President Biden loves to warn about the supposed dangers of misinformation, but he apparently has no problem with misinformation when it lets him dunk on Donald Trump. We're going to break it all down, but first, I'm Brad Palumbo, and welcome back to Mediaite, your home for commentary and coverage on the intersection of media and politics. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing and sticking around, and don't forget to hit that like button and comment with your thoughts as we go along. So without any further ado, here's what Biden said on a late-night interview with Seth Meyers that aired this week and caused a little bit of controversy.
You mentioned some classified materials, some documents recently leaked, some classified documents. And this isn't a gotcha show, but I do want to ask about it, that says you are currently 81 years old.
Who the hell told you that?
Yeah.
That's classified.
That's classified. All jokes aside, according to recent polling, this is a real concern for American voters. How do you address that concern going forward as you come up to the 2024 election?
Well, a couple things. Number one, you got to take a look at the other guy. He's about as old as I am, but he can't remember his wife's name.
Yeah.
And number one. Number two, it's about how old your ideas are. Look, I mean, this is a guy who wants to take us back. He wants to take us back on Roe v. Wade. He wants to take us back on a whole range of issues that are 50, 60 years. They've been solid American positions. And I really mean this sincerely. I think it's about the future. And every single thing we've done, I think we've got some good things done. Everything, and they told us we couldn't get them done because things were so divided. And but I think everything we've gotten done, he's just friendly stated he wants to do away with if he gets elected. And I really think his views on where to take America are older than, anyway, I don't want to get going.
So first things first, it's really not a great sign when somebody brings up the big criticism of you as a presidential candidate, and all you can do is pivot to whataboutism and say basically, well, the other guy's worse. That's not really a defense of you, though. And it's also really not great when you're asked about potentially being too old to be president and you trail off and lose your train of thought at the end. Yikes. But anyway, is this actually true? Did Donald Trump actually confuse his wife with someone else and call her by the wrong name?
Former President Trump told supporters last week that former First Lady Melania Trump will soon be making more regular appearances on the campaign trail. Not if she heard what you called her last week.
I call up my wife our great First Lady. She was a great first. People loved her. Yeah, people love her. Oh, look at that. Wow. Mercedes, that's pretty good.
I'm sorry. Mercedes? You had a nuclear meltdown when Biden messed up the president of Egypt and you can't remember your wife's name? Guys, I hate to say it, his mind is slipping. I think he's too old to run.
Now, it will shock you to learn that Meyer and Biden evidently didn't even do 5 seconds of research before launching this attack on Trump. Because if they had, they'd realize that it simply isn't true. Trump didn't refer to Melania as Mercedes. No, he was speaking at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, a major conservative conference, and the host is named Mercedes Schlapp. The New York Times fact-checked them on this and said, Mr. Myers played that clip before Mr. Biden came out on the show, mocking Trump for seeming to have forgotten Mrs. Trump's name. But Mr. Trump was addressing Mercedes Schlapp, a former White House advisor whose husband, Matt Schlapp, the chairman of the American Conservative Union, hosts the conference. Similarly, New York Magazine pointed out that Biden wrongly roasts Trump for forgetting Melania's name. So this attack on Trump they're making such a big deal out of and attempting to use as a defense of Biden's own questionable mental acuity didn't actually happen. And it's all a bit rich coming from President Biden, who supposedly cares so much about misinformation that he wanted to start a kind of Orwellian-sounding disinformation governance board. Because there are really only two possibilities here. One is that Biden is knowingly lying about Trump, and that seems less likely. The other is that he didn't even bother to do 5 seconds of research or fact-checking before spouting off and using this attack against his political rival. Either way, not a great look for our anti-misinformation warrior of a president. It's pretty bizarre, too, because it's not like there's any shortage of legitimate criticisms to be made of Trump or actual flubs they could point to. But Biden and Seth Meyers are apparently too dishonest, or maybe just too sloppy, to avoid going after the former president for things that never actually happened. Alright everybody, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing and sticking around, and maybe even turning on those bell notifications. And don't forget to like this video and maybe even leave a comment with your thoughts below. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video.